Hello, little creatures. Welcome to Lugal's world. We have an amazing astrologer, Isaac from Down the Wombat Hole. Please check out his content, book a session with him. We're going to be talking about this very juicy Mars Venus conjunction that's going to be happening for the next few days. So, Isaac, tell us about this forecast here.
Juicy and spicy, for sure. So we have Venus and Mars conjunct roughly every 2 years or so. So I think the last one would have been February 2022, I believe. And that would have been, where would that have been? Probably in Capricorn. And so we've essentially finished our most recent Venus-Mars cycle, and we're about to enter into a new one, which will have a Aquarian flavour tropically, because that's where this conjunction is occurring. And we'll bring up the chart soon, just to give you an idea. But this is a very juicy and a very spicy astrological alignment at the moment. There's a lot going on. Venus and Mars obviously coming together. You know, that sort of that core polarity between the masculine and the feminine, still within a few degrees of Pluto. So there's a lot of intense, compelling, transformative energy still tied up with this conjunction. Pluto's very much sort of there, just, you know, lurking behind, having its sort of deepening influence, giving everything a bit of an edge. And then the conjunction, the Mars Venus conjunction, will be forming an exact T-square with Jupiter and the Moon as well. So, you know, expansive, exaggerated, higher-minded emotions, lots of feelings. It's all happening at the moment. So let's see if we can bring that up as we talk about this. And we thought we can talk about the collective implications of this conjunction and also the more personal ones and how it might manifest in our relationships.
And if anyone is feeling it, I had a suggestion from my YouTube, a short from, there was an astrologer, one of the main Vedic ones. He's talked about doing the Venus Beej mantra for 20,000 times over 40 days. So that's like the 108 version of it, like 5 times per day. So I plan to be doing that for this next 40 days, starting today. So if anyone would like to elevate their beauty, their wealth, their inspiration, their joy with the goddess, please chant 20,000 times in 40 days with me, 5 times of the 108 Venus Beej mantra, and let me know in the comments what were your experiences with that. And I would love to hear them if any of you guys are going to be doing that, to really take advantage of this beautiful Mars Venus energy and use it to compel you into the divine. So please continue, Isaac.
Lovely. So can you see this chart on screen at the moment?
Yes.
Lovely. So I've brought this chart up in sort of 13 sign constellation astrology, just so you know, so we don't have the tropical signs there. This is the placements of the sidereal constellations in case you need to get your bearings. So yes, you can see that lovely, very spicy T-square happening there between the Venus-Mars conjunction and then across to the Moon and then up top to Jupiter, sort of at the apex of the T-square. So Jupiter really acts as the release point of this configuration. And so with Jupiter, we think of dignity, you know, hope, optimism, higher-minded spirituality. So definitely some spiritual themes about how we negotiate this current arrangement. So I've put this chart for roughly sort of just before sunset Australia time, so Western Australia time, which is where I am. I got the conjunction right on the descendant, as you can see there, Venus and Mars right on the descendant. I put it there because that's when it's actually exactly conjunct, but also because that is the sort of that's the relationship part of the chart. I think there's going to be a very strong relationship component to this current energy. So peaking within the next 24 hours and then continuing on for the next few days. You know, it could even be, this sort of make or break vibe about relationships you might be getting into or negotiating, and there might be some sort of peak or climax as we get this coming together of each of the polarities, the Venus, the romance, the desire, wanting what you want, and then Mars, asserting yourself, using willpower to get that, and to make sure we are heard, our voice is heard, we're able to speak our mind. So there's a lot of things coming together right now. And if we take the opposition with the moon is sort of that polarity towards the more emotional side. So we might feel with a opposition somewhat unbalanced if one polarity is over the next. And so there can be a bit of emotional imbalance there, fluctuating emotions. That's what the moon does. It does fluctuate between different states. So we can see this polarity potentially between emotion and this fiery romance of Mars and Venus. And then with the T-square going up to the top, Jupiter squaring both of them. Jupiter is often with squares, it can go from expansion to exaggeration and almost like overbearing Jupiterian energy, which can almost be too much to handle. And it's just too much of something, not quite having the humility or the self-awareness just to pull back. And so you see that dynamic, that sort of triangular dynamic going on that's influencing this union between, essentially the feminine and the masculine, between romance and more eroticism, I guess. That those two components of human sexuality are coming together, potentially literally, depending on what your relationship situation is at the moment, and being influenced, in a quite strong way by Moon and Jupiter. So and we can also see just a few other things going on there. We have at the top in the 9th house in this chart, Chiron and Rahu, the North Node, still pretty much exactly conjunct. So this amplification of collective healing is going on, and that's sort of preparing us for the eclipse, which will also happen right on Chiron with the North Node just there. And in the 7th, 8th house, we can see Saturn, Sun, and Mercury all coming together, and they'll pretty much exactly form a three-way conjunction or cazimi, when all three planets are, so when Saturn and Mercury will almost be overshone by the Sun at the same time. So that's going to be a very interesting conjunction. So we're sort of moving towards that as well, and we're also moving towards, in the 10th house, Uranus-Jupiter conjunction at the end of April as well. So lots going on. I thought we'd start with that visual look. And let's see. All right, are we back? Lovely. So just hoping you can see just through that visual. I just love visually looking at a chart first and trying to find the story, trying to find the obvious aspects, the obvious points of alignment or contention, and then to start to tease out things from there. So I'd say, automatically you can see a very spicy setup, a lot of potentially not necessarily volatile, but sort of over the top energies are possible right now with that T-square. And then Pluto's still there amplifying the whole thing. And then these other conjunctions sort of just, are coming to getting a bit closer. So just starting to build up those energies as well. So lots happening. So in the personal domain, in your own relationships, just be aware that that things can potentially get amplified or can be exaggerated or can sort of very quickly fluctuate between two polarities at the moment. So that might be the polarity between you and your partner, or it might be a polarity between two sort of opinions that you have, or two feelings that you have about your relationship. You might be having some doubts about it, but also you might have some hope and some optimism about it, and you might find both of those components being amplified at the same time. So it's about finding that balance and not being too sucked in to that polarity, which Pluto is helping to amplify, and Jupiter as well. just exaggerating. So yeah, on your toes, but also utilizing this energy as this sort of make or break. I feel like that's a really sort of key phrase for the moment. If you want to move your relationship forward, this is a time to really test it, to really give it that kick forward, and then see what happens, and sort of be ready for whatever happens. But this is, know that you've used the right time, the most potent astrological time, to give it that little kick forward to see what happens. So
what would be, if someone wants to be really precise, what time would be what to the minute would be the most advantageous to go and like send that person that message, or go and, go on a date or whatever? What's the ideal time? And if you could look it up in Central Standard Time, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, so let's work that out. So the chart that I brought up would have been the perfect time, Western Australian time, because I see the descendant point, so the point opposite the ascendant, as this place of service and devotion to another person. So I feel like that's the best place for.
And is that 5:15 p.m. that you
pulled
up? So it's 3:15 a.m. is the Central Standard Time of that for everyone.
Yes.
So I guess send a late night message. You're going to go on a 3:15 a.m. date or something. Congratulations.
But bear in mind, I think if you want to hit that descendant point, then you'll have to that will be the point in WA time, but it'll be different for other places. So if you want to really hit that descendant point, bring up the chart in your time zone, and you'll see the arrangement of the sky, because the arrangement of the sky changes in different countries and different locations as well. So this might be a good opportunity to start to get your head around how to make a chart for a particular point in time and specific to your location, and start to play around with how to get that best arrangement. Because I think one of the most practical everyday uses of astrology is just to orientate, key decisions or key things that we do to these practical, helpful, or these most potent alignments. So yeah, I think we should all be getting our heads around how to do that, and how to just find out, it might just be on astro.com, one of these free websites where it's quite easy to make, to sort of make a chart and then adjust the time. You can move the time forward 1 hour or back 1 hour. So yeah, but if you are wanting to channel this Venus Mars energy within the next 24 hours, for sure, start to really just use that Martian energy to just act. Don't hesitate. Start to do it now. And put a plan in place and be spontaneous. We do have Uranus energy building up as well, because it's still speeding up after being retrograde and going direct. Would have been the end of January. So it's still, Uranus is building momentum. So embrace that spontaneity as it moves closer to Jupiter as well. Maybe should we just chat about perhaps, so we just started this new Venus-Mars cycle. Perhaps we can talk about what that might look like in tropical Aquarius as well, and how this conjunction might feed into the collective vibe at the moment.
Sure, yeah, definitely.
Which is pretty hectic. There's a lot going on at the moment. I think Pluto in Aquarius has definitely proven itself already. We're definitely seeing that weirdness manifest itself within the collective. We're starting to, there's this unsettling feeling coming into the collective, and, whether it's safe to be in large crowds at the moment. This Neptune in Pisces infiltration energy of borders being porous and things that are coming through. And so there's a lot going on at the moment. And so how does Mars and Venus coming together, this unification of, at its best, the divine masculine and the divine feminine coming together in Aquarius, which is the collective, but it's a bit eccentric. It's a world adjusting to AI, to artificial intelligence. And so the most obvious, I guess, thing that comes out is this idea of be able to shape shift or almost interchange between the masculine and the feminine, because they're right there. And people with Mars Venus in their charts are able to quite easily embody the masculine energy and the feminine energy at once, or to just switch between them quite easily. So they have almost this shape-shifting vibe to them in terms of gender and even sexuality sometimes. But is it also very compelling? It's almost like people with Venus Mars have this constant battle within them between the prince and the princess to get their way. You know, Mars wants to get its way, but then Venus will want to get its way. They do it in different ways, obviously. Mars is a bit more open about it. Venus might be a bit more passive aggressive, you know, using emotions and desires, and, you know, using its assets to its advantage. Whereas Mars just does it, you know, clears a few obstacles in its way. If it needs to, steps on a few toes, that's fine. So you've got this interplay within the person sort of going on. So it creates a very compelling dynamic, and very creative as well, because it's always these, you know, having these energies which are slightly at odds with each other, always within you, allows you to sort of reach new heights of creative expression and exploring these dynamics within us. So I wonder if we're gonna see from this point onwards a really, I mean, we probably will. Well, anyway, but the acceleration of what it is, the idea of sort of transgenderism, and that might be a defining idea about the next 2 years in this Mars Venus cycle in Aquarius, is, you know, this amplification or the acceleration of gender fluidity, and being able to go between each polarity, you know, fairly seamlessly, and then with the role of artificial intelligence, this Aquarius sort of new realm that we're going in, this collective realm, but not necessarily physically or interpersonally. So I can sort of see that being the theme of this cycle of the Mars Venus energy, which will be interesting. But then we might also sort of flip that around, not to put any judgment on that, because, you know, it is what it is. And I think the more that we understand this Mars Venus energy, we can help negotiate this phenomenon.
It seems like this situation on Earth is very burning through the karma of both Mars and Venus, and this is the culmination. I think we're coming into a culmination where we see the results on that on a bigger scale. That's a good way to put it. And this will be a big test or amplification of the status of those archetypes, and where they're at karmically, and how much work there is still to do for Venus and Mars to be properly balanced and even integrated. So and, you know, so we're going to see the depths again, because Pluto has imprinted itself on this cycle, because it's right there. So we're going to see the depths of this phenomenon of transgenderism, or, you know, alphabet sort of things coming out, and you know, and that's just the way it's going to be. And so let's get ready for it, and to sort of negotiate it with Jupiterian dignity, and elevate it, and you know, assist people who might be at the forefront of that sort of cultural movement, who are leading that in investigation. And that's sort of what I have to say about it. So that was good. Yeah. So there's a lot going on at the moment, but this is incredibly potent times, to really, especially if you're in a relationship, just sort of bring it back in a circle. Like be very aware to act on this moment. Be ready to act, but be ready for be aware of the potential for exaggeration and emotional fluctuation
those 2 points of the T-square that we're in at the moment. That would be my final advice for everyone. And yeah, if you're playing something with the next 24 hours, have a go at pulling up a chart for our current transits, and yeah, see when the perfect time might be to launch something, or to send an important email or message, or to have an important conversation, or to make just an important decision for your own life in terms of relationships and romance and even sexuality.
Beautiful. So thanks everyone who joined. Thank you for building this community with us, putting your comments about these energies, your thoughts on them, your experiences with them. The comment section is your diary. And if you want to support the work that we're doing, please book a session with either one of us. Really encourage you to check out the other content. I have an entire series on tarot, on the Crawley Tarot. I have so many other interviews I want to do. If I should interview someone, let me know. If you need healing in your body, soul, or spirit, hit me up, and possibly doing a Medicine Buddha chant session. So everyone have a beautiful night or day wherever you are. Peace.